We miscommunicating, I miscommunicating. I just made a pilot, then they threw me on the stations. Nah, I'm not complaining, nah, I'm not complaining. My thoughts get complicated, I cannot explain in layman's. Never losing focus because I ain't chasing payments. Still playing in the basement while I'm working on arrangements. They heard the kid in 50 countries, thank God that's amazing. But I'd rather thank Spotify, they put me on the station. Same shit, different day, I'm just trying to get paid. Yeah. I'ma stay in the shade so they can't see my face. Yeah. Only blow if I know that I got the right strain. Yeah. When I blow, then I know that I did it my way. Yeah.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Daniel, and this is the Engineering Success Podcast, episode 49. Wow, how things can change in a week. A week ago, just we start out the podcast with a tidbit from Daniel's personal life. And a week ago, I was absolutely shell shocked because we had just finished game 5 of the American League Championship Series. And if you know me, you know I'm a massive Texas Rangers fan. And the Rangers had blown the game in the most unimaginable, painful way possible. And since then, the Rangers have went to Houston. They won the American League Championship Series, and now, oh my goodness, it is Saturday morning, the 28th of October, and last night was game 1 of the World Series, and the Rangers came back and beat the Diamondbacks in the most exciting way possible. So, wow, so many things can change in a week, but life's good. Life is good. I can't complain about that. That's for sure. I've been waiting 12 years for this. It's been a lot of fun. Other things I've been waiting for is babies, and baby E is chilling next to me on the floor. I'm rocking them with my foot right now, so that's kind of fun. So if you hear any or screams or screeches throughout the podcast, it means that I forgot to edit them out. But there she is. Okay. Yeah, my baby's a girl. I'm giving it up. All right. Anywho, that's what's going on. So, anyways, life's good. I can't complain too much. All right, what else is going on? Well, we have to start out the podcast with some shout outs. So, first of all, shout out to our top tier supporter, John Ott. John, thank you so much for your support of the podcast. You can join John as a top tier supporter of the podcast. $10 a month gets you a shout out at the beginning of every single episode of the podcast for any safe for work phrase or your name. Anything you want me to shout out, you send me some money and I'll shout you out. Other things going on. If you want to contact the podcast, you want to write into the podcast, you want a question answered on the podcast, write into me at Daniel at ENGineeringSuccess.com. That's Daniel at Engineering Success, where engineering is spelled ENGRING, just like it would show up in your course catalog. And you can also visit our website at www.engringsuccess.com, and you can see latest episodes of podcasts, blog posts. You can engage with me, and you can also see cool content that I want you to see by going on to that website. So make sure you check that out as well. All right, well, we did our intro. Let's get into the podcast. Here we go. We're going to start out with LinkedIn lunatics. So this one says, "This just happened to my colleague." And let's zoom in. Some person wanted me to get on a call with them for 30 minutes for an interview. I took the call and they were like, "Thank you. This is really good practice," at the end. I go, "Excuse me?" She goes, "Yes, I'm interviewing for a role and I just wanted a good role play scenario with somebody who knows the business." She basically made a mock interview with me and used me as a guinea pig. Full on LinkedIn profile, 500 plus connections, the works. Like, come on, I'm already stressing enough with my finances. And I was actually excited that somebody would reach out to me to ask if I want to do an interview. At the end, she's like, "Oh," and then at the end, she asked them if they could meet up in person sometime, basically thanking them for the time. Wow, that is insane. So basically, somebody's looking for a job. They reach out to somebody asking them if they want a job interview, but they bait and switch them. One thing that I encourage people to do all the time is if you're looking to learn more about an industry, whether or not you want to work in it, especially if you're a college student, you should reach out to people and ask them if you could talk to them about what they do. But if you're going to ask them for an interview, you might want to be explicit that it's not an interview for employment. It's a interview to learn more about the industry, and because if you mislead somebody into giving their time for an interview to tell you just more about what they're doing, and they're under the implication that it's a job interview, then you could be not using their time correctly, and not respecting their time. So here's a little bit more background. They said, so we both work for a consulting firm, and the two clients he works on are terminating, and he was given notice, and he's been looking for work. A recruiter on LinkedIn hit him up asking for a 30-minute interview for the type of role he does and has been doing for 15 years. So she is a recruiter on LinkedIn, and she's a recruiter, and she created a fake position. And at the end, she told him, "This has been great practice," and informs him that she wasn't looking to hire him. She just wanted to see what an interview with an experienced person in the field would look like. This is absolutely insane. I've never heard this. She's just trying to become a better, a better recruiter and a better interviewer of people in this industry. So she created a fake interview with this guy for a fake position. That is even worse than I could have imagined. That is just evil. It's just manipulative. It's evil. I just, it's not friendly, not friendly at all to do that. So if you're a recruiter and you want to learn more about the industry, feel free to reach out to somebody that is experienced and ask them if you can learn more about what they do in their industry. But be honest. If you're going to get somebody to give up their time, especially somebody that's looking for work, and you're a recruiter, you have to understand that they're going to feel so much more. They're going to treat you so much differently than with so much more excitement than they would treat anybody else, because they're looking for a job and you're a recruiter, and you should not be taking advantage of and exploiting people because of that imbalance. All right. Next question. This one goes, found one in the wild. I agree with Mr. Murphy. In fact, if you see what most hustlers are doing fine in life today, they work more than 70 hours a week. Okay, bad English. Life is hard. Our people aspire big, so how can effort be small? And that's in response to this article that went on LinkedIn. I saw this myself. Naranthia Murthy says India's work culture must change. Youngsters should work 70 hours a week. Yeah. Okay. So basically this person is agreeing with I don't know who Naranthia Murthy is. Naranya, yeah, Murthy. He's the former CEO of Infosys, not Infosystems, Infosys. And he's from India. So I guess he might have been just giving a speech uh, in India. And that's 70 hours a week. No bueno. 70 hours a week is a lot. Now, am I working on my life and being a better person for 70 hours a week? Probably. I'm studying for the PE exam. I'm studying for, I'm working my job, which is usually 40 plus hours a week. And I'm also doing this podcast. So I am working more than 70 hours a week on things but that extra 30 comes from things that I'm interested in. And for a company to expect to get that 70 hours out of people is just insanity. I mean, there's a reason why we have the working hours that we have now. It took us a lot of effort to get to that point, and to get the working week established. And yeah, this is to have that mentality. The comments say, sounds like the worst life to live. I'd love to know how mentally and physically well they are to expect that out of people. And quote, youngsters should learn to be good slaves. Keep dreaming, old fossil. Indian LinkedIn never disappoints. Yeah, I I don't I don't like that. I don't think you should expect people to work 70 hours a day. So I don't support that statement. All right, well, I'm going to take a quick breather, and then we're going to come back with college questions.
We miscommunicating, I'm miscommunicating. I just made a pilot, then they threw me on the stations. Nah, I'm not complaining, nah, I'm not complaining. My thoughts get complicated, I cannot explain in layman's. Never losing focus because I ain't chasing payments. Still playing in the basement while I'm working on arrangements. They heard the kid in 50 countries, thank God that's amazing. But I'd rather thank Spotify, they put me on the station. Same shit, different day, I'm just trying to get paid. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'ma stay in the shade so they can't see my face. Yeah, yeah. Only blow if I know that I got the right strain. Yeah. When I blow, then I know that I did it my way. Yeah. Everybody asks me why I'm up so late, man. They think I'm insane. I just wanna create.
And we're back. All right, let's start with the college questions. The first one is titled, Does it really matter what college you go to for engineering? I'm currently a freshman attending UB. The school is certainly above average in many respects, but I'm wondering if not going to Purdue or a higher ranked engineering school will make any difference in my future. I love the school I'm currently attending, especially for the cost, but they lack some resources in some areas where I think Purdue definitely would have them. I've been thinking of transferring to Purdue, but my major is currently a closed program there, which means you don't get to transfer directly into it, and I'm not sure if and when that will change. Any advice? And the top comment is not mine, but I have a comment on this page that says, Is your program accredited? I'm guessing yes. If you network efficiently and pursue internships, the school you attend will likely have negligible impact on your long-term job prospects. You may have a different network at Purdue and be able to network into a different first job. But when it comes to your long-term career, the high likelihood that it won't have a significant impact on your career or success. And this girl asked this question in r/women engineers, so I elaborated to say, attend the SWE fair. It's better than the career fair at Purdue. It's better than the career fair at UB. And in my opinion, it is the best engineering career fair in the US. And if you've worked on your resume and presenting yourself, you'll likely be able to interview for internships on the spot your sophomore and junior years. Whatever you do, attend the SWE fair. It will have more impact on your ability to get internships and your first job than transferring to Purdue. And that's my opinion. And my opinion is that you don't have to go to the most highly ranked engineering school to have a good career. You do have to leverage the network that you have and network for yourself regardless of where you attend engineering school. And I don't think that it really is going to make that big of a difference. Maybe you do different research, but honestly, you might, if you want to do research, you might even get to do more hands-on research because maybe the UB doesn't have the same competitiveness for research programs or the same number of graduate engineers that are doing the research. Maybe you can do more undergraduate research. Yeah, maybe the UB university has a different or smaller alumni network or doesn't have the same industry connections that Purdue has. But again, once you get that first job, then nobody really cares where you went to school. They just kind of care about what experience you've had. And so, if as long as you take the effort to network yourself, and like I said, go to the Sweet Fair, and just build your resume, like become a well-rounded engineering student, pursue internships, get involved, maybe do some research, then you're going to have a great career. And if you don't need to, I think it's more important that you stick with the major program that you want to study, which think you said is mechanical engineering. Um, yeah, I wouldn't press too hard to change over to Purdue, especially if you can't get into mechanical engineering there, especially if you're in a situation where you might have to go to a different major that either you're not as passionate about or is not as recognizable whenever you're applying for jobs. So I'd say it doesn't really matter enough. There's not that big of a difference for you to consider transferring. Well, you can consider, but not that big of a difference for you to need to transfer or feel like you should have to transfer from UB to Purdue. So that's what I have to say. All right, next question. How TF do y'all have any free time? Good evening, y'all. I am just curious how y'all are able to have any sort of free time as full-time students. Between me driving an hour each way to school 5 days a week, self-teaching myself 3 of the 4 junior level courses because my professors are incompetent, and the copious amounts of homework, how do y'all do it? I literally only get a couple hours to myself a week, and that I'm not completely exhausted to do anything. This has never been the problem for me, but because in the past, most of my professors did a good job of conveying the material. That's my rant, and I'd love some tips. And here's what I said is I prioritized it by scheduling or joining clubs with social commitments, so that I was forced or at least had the structure in which to enjoy myself and be social. Just how the organization and structure helps your study habits, it helps in your social life. I'd also say that I didn't realize this. You drive an hour to school each way. That's 2 hours a day that you could be spending studying. So that's another thing to take into consideration. I doubt that you can relocate. Obviously, you're commuting for a reason, but you could save 2 hours a day. You could get yourself 2 extra hours of social slash study time if you weren't driving for 2 hours a day. Um, and then self-teaching yourself, yeah, that's just a part of college. Self-teaching yourself coursework is just the nature of it. You say it's your professors are incompetent, maybe they are, but just a lot of college engineering school is a lot about independent learning and independent discovery. You have to do the practice problems and then realize those hooks and the things that you have to know to be able to solve problems and how to differentiate between different types of problems. You're learning how to solve problems, so it takes time to work your way through that. For example, last night I was or 2 nights ago, I was studying for the PE exam, and I had one challenge problem that was related to my topic, and I'm doing basic heat transfer right now. And yeah, it took me the entire night to stumble my way through the one problem, and I just kept on resolving and resolving and resolving, and I just couldn't get it right. And then, sure enough, I discovered that there was something that I was doing wrong at the very beginning of the problem, and that was my discovery moment. That was my learning moment. And sometimes you just have to do practice problems and do a lot of independent study and practice to have those learning moments. So it takes a lot of time. What I'd say is that try to minimize the amount of time that is going to a sink. So you said that you spent 2 hours a week 2 hours a day on the road. That's 10 hours a week that you could be spending doing other things. So if you could minimize that, it's probably out of your control, but if you could minimize that, that definitely would do a lot for you, helping get yourself some extra time. I tried to live as close to campus as possible whenever I was controlling where I lived. And then, yeah, I would just say try to schedule if you want to have more social time, I'd say schedule it. So get on your schedule, prioritize it, treat it like it's a important thing that is an event on your schedule. It's something that you have to do. So that way you can give yourself a little bit of a breather. Join a club, which I mean, you live an hour away from campus. So maybe it's a little bit harder for you to be involved in a club and join a club. But yeah, I mean, you could totally you got to prioritize the social time, or else, as you say, that you kind of just get it on the back end. So that's my advice for you. And I mean, you just got to prioritize it if you want to have free time. You just got to schedule it. So that's what I have to say. Best luck. All right, let's go into the next question. The next question is titled, how do I know if I should switch out of engineering? They go on to say, their post was deleted. Okay, well, good news. I saved it. I'm a first year engineering student and I haven't gone a day without thinking about switching to my backup major, not engineering. I'm not worried about grades or anything, but I've had a hard time seeing myself be happy taking these classes for 4 years. I'm not particularly interested in any subject, so I'm mainly interested in a fulfilling, stable career that isn't the focus of my life. I've heard that very few engineering students actually enjoy college, but it's worth it. Is this true? Any advice on how I can tell if engineering is right for me? So here's what I'd say. I'd say that, was college a breeze? No. But did I enjoy college? Yes. And now I look back on it, I realized that I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought that I enjoyed it in the moment. Yeah, college is a grind, especially engineering school. Engineering school is a grind. You're learning how to solve problems. You're learning how to become an engineer, and that's very difficult. It is, in my opinion, the most difficult undergraduate major there is. One of the major engineering programs. So yeah, it's going to be more challenging than what your peers are going through. So, we're a product of our environments and we feel how we feel relative to how things are going on around us, right? So if you see somebody else in a much less challenging major doing a lot more fun things, then yes, you'd say your engineering experience is not as fun as theirs because you're not doing as many fun things. But then you get to come out of it with a stable career, stable job. Yes, all the things that you want, a fulfilling job. If you like to solve problems, you get to solve problems all day long. Engineering is fun. I like engineering, and I'm really grateful that I did engineering. Something that I talk about a lot on this podcast is that I personally definitely am not the most passionate person for engineering itself, but I love solving problems, and that's kind of what the core of engineering is. I didn't necessarily enjoy certain classes that much, but I made it through them, and I enjoyed them enough to stick with it. And that stick to itiveness, that grinding it out to get through the problem, and those solving skills that you develop throughout engineering school, that's what makes a good engineer. And then in return, you get a very nice, stable career path. You can go become work in engineering design. You can work and just work as a engineer and work as a discipline engineer for your entire career and make a very good living out of it without having to go in the management track. So yeah, it's a good thing to do. But here's what I'd say: it's gonna take work and dedication. And if you don't see yourself being the type of person that can stick through it, if you don't like it enough to stick through it, then maybe it isn't for you. But I liked it just enough that I found just enough interest in it that I was able to make it through. And here I am, working a fulfilling career in an engineering adjacent role is what I'd say. I work in engineering. I work in engineering projects. I work with engineering rates, proposals, contracts, and I have a really fun job. And you can have that too. What I do is interview engineers, talk to people that have engineering degrees and engineering jobs, ask them about what they do. And if you find that any of them do something that interests you, then maybe pursue engineering because yeah, it would be a bummer to come through it and not like your career and leave the industry altogether. But the good news is that there's a variety of jobs that you can do as an engineer, and they are stable. And your degree is so versatile that you could actually pivot out of the engineering industry entirely and still be just fine. People love to hire engineers to do all kinds of things. So yeah, I'd say talk to people that are engineers, that are doing all different types of jobs, see if there's anything that you like, and see if you can find a little bit of a passion, because that little bit of passion for engineering will get through those tough moments, because it is a challenging major relatively to other majors. But if you really don't think it's for you, I would say no shame in dropping out of engineering. All right, next one. All right, take your FE exam while you're still in school. I graduated in May. I'm studying for the FE mechanical exam, and I forgot nearly everything already. Sure, it won't be hard to review, but guys, please just take it in one of your final semesters. Yeah, I think that's really good advice. A lot of my professors told me to. We had a class that we took our last semester senior year, and part of it was just a quick little refresher on everything we learned throughout engineering school, and it was not a full class. It was just like a couple sections of a class, and they said, hey, take the FE exam if you have the time to schedule it during school. It'll be much easier. And I didn't listen. And what I had to do instead was I spent about a month lightly prepping, just making sure I was familiar with the test format, the types of questions that would be on the test. I did a couple practice tests, and then I reviewed the equation manual, and it was fine. So I'd say yes, the closer that you take your FE exam to whenever you're graduating from school, the better it is. So definitely very good advice here. Either take it while you're in school and with a little bit of light prep, maybe take it between your fall and senior semesters. Sorry, your fall and spring semesters of your senior year, or take it if you have like a little bit of a gap in your schedule, your second semester of your senior year. All right. Next question. Next question is titled, Got kicked from program 4 years in. What do I do? Seeking advice. I'm 4 years into my mechanical engineering degree and failed to pass a class on the third attempt. I have my personal reasoning that I won't unpack here. At my school, this means you are booted from the College of Engineering and reapply after a year. It will have been a year in December, and I'm getting anxious about the chances of readmission. In the meantime, I've been interning for a well-known consultant for the last year and a half, and got the job before all of this. I'm reluctant to tell them because I'm learning a lot and I want to keep gaining experience, but they are asking when my graduation date is, and it's stressing me out. I'm taking classes right now to help my chances of getting readmitted, boost my GPA. I currently don't have a good backup plan. Anyone else ever been in this situation? And I have the top comment. I said, just tell your company your new anticipated graduation date. If they press on why, tell the story. It's statistics. You can chalk it up to whatever you want to, but you'll probably get, oh, I had a class like that too, or that's insane. So sorry you're going through that. My buddy had to take chemistry 3 times, and now he's a chemical engineer. Funny, huh? As a response. Your internship experience and your experience overcoming this is a shining mark on your resume, IMO. Keep it up and best wishes with getting readmitted. Yeah. So here's what I'd do is just tell them your new anticipated graduation date. And if they bat an eye at it, then just just tell them the story. Because a lot of people have been in a similar situation where they had a class that they struggled with. They had there's difficult classes for everybody. Everybody has that one subject that they struggle with, and you find that your story is a lot more relatable than you think it is. So, hey, just tell them when your new graduation date is, and if they press on it, then tell them why. But you should be fine, and I wish you the best of luck with getting back into your program. It's kind of, honestly, in my opinion, ridiculous that there aren't exceptions. So maybe be prepared to tell them the story. But build a compelling case for your program to let you back in, and then just tell your employer your new anticipated graduation date. Especially if you're an intern and you're learning and you're being putting on a great show for them, and they asked when your graduation date was. That means that they like you enough that they want to know when they can hire you full time. So keep on demonstrating good things for them. Just be honest, and they'll probably say, "Oh, no worries. We'll just keep on using you as an intern from now until then, but we'll be ready to hire you whenever that time comes around." So, all right, next question. And for those of you that are wondering why I'm bending down every second, it's because the baby is taking its toy and throwing it on the ground like every 10 seconds. So let me get it real quick. All right. Next question. Anyone else find Calc 3 the most difficult of all the calc classes? Yeah, I did. Got the results back for my first Calc 3 exam, and it's the worst test grade I've ever received, below a 50. Any advice? I thought Calc 3 was supposed to be easy, but honestly, I find the Calc 2 and Calc 1 stuff easier. And I said, I found it to be the most difficult. Many say Calc 2, but Calc 3 was the toughest for me. Yeah, Calc 3 is tough. It is tough. And especially if you don't treat it with like the respect that it takes. Like, oh, it's easier than Calc 2. Maybe maybe took the pedal off the gas for a little bit of a second there. Here's what I'd say is Calc 3 is a challenging course. It builds upon the material that you learn in Calc 1 and Calc 2. And maybe for many people, Calc 2 is harder. For me, Calc 3 was harder. So I'd say just treat the course with the respect it deserves. Treat it with the same level of intensity that you took in Calc 1 and Calc 2, and you should be fine. For me, I really struggled with Calc 3 because it's actually the first college level math class I took. I took Calc 1 and Calc 2 through AP in high school. So Calc 3 was just a completely different world because it was a college math class and it was a new approach to learning for me. So it's just very challenging. And it's not, I mean, you can't just slack off in class, not pay attention, and then get it. I mean, it is difficult subject matter. So I'd say keep on pushing, treat it treat it like it's a challenging course. And yeah, it probably won't even be the most difficult engineering math class you take. I took a class called partial differential equations, which is like a expansion on the differential equations class, or ODE class, that a lot of people take. And it was my most challenging math class, and it beat me up. But hey, the good news is that all of these concepts do build on one another. And so, yes, they get progressively more challenging, but you get progressively more knowledgeable along the way. So you should be fine. But hey, the other thing is that check the class average. Ask around. Maybe 50 is about where people are landing, and maybe there'll be a curve there. But Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's so difficult that it's not accomplishable, but yeah, Calc 3 is a rigorous math class. So treat it with the respect it deserves. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to take a quick breather and I might not come back. We're going to go check on baby E and see how they're doing. And maybe I'll come back after the break. Maybe not. Maybe I'll have to record the second half of the podcast in a second live session. So we'll see. I'll be right back. Or not.
We miscommunicating, I miscommunicating. I just made a pilot, then they threw me on the stations. Nah, I'm not complaining, nah, I'm not complaining. My thoughts get complicated, I cannot explain in layman's. Never losing focus because I ain't chasing payments. Still playing in the basement while I'm working on arrangements. They heard the kid in 50 countries, thank God that's amazing. But I'd rather thank Spotify, they put me on the station. Same shit, different day, I'm just trying to get paid. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'ma stay in the shade so they can't see my face. Yeah, yeah. Only blow if I know that I got the right strain. Yeah. When I blow, then I know that I did it my way. Yeah. Everybody asks me why I'm up so late, man. They think I'm insane, I just wanna create, man. No angel dust till the boy cremated. In heaven with Mr. Cobain, sedated. But that's not for a long time. Cardi for the long nights, party for the hard times. On time at the wrong time. Why the fuck would I try to quantize my jawline? Speeding on the feeder, cause I promised I'd be on time. And I said it last time, it's gotta be the last time. You can play this song if you ever got a bad vibe. Say I'm acting moody, cause I've been stuck like Mad Eye. Miss the times when I had nap time and snack time. I style like Billy, cause she say I'm a bad guy. She say waste my time just writing all these rap lines. Said she crossed the line and I promise that's the last time. Used to play Angry Birds, man, I was mad fly. Shit, different day, I'm just trying to get paid. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'ma stay in the shade so they can't see my face. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Only blow if I know that I got the right strain. Yeah. When I blow, then I know that I did it my way. Yeah. Feeling gone, like switching stocks after sex though. Max got the tracks, lost his mind and his headphones. They just call me broke cause I still use the wire cards. She asked for my number, damn, I think they should retire me. Feeling gone, like switching stacks. Got the tracks, lost his tracks, lost his tracks, lost his. They just call me broke cause they just call me broke cause I think they should retire me. They should retire me. We miscommunicating, I miscommunicating. I just made a pilot, then they threw me on the stations. Nah, I'm not complaining, nah, I'm not complaining. My thoughts get complicated, I cannot explain in layman's. Never losing focus because I ain't chasing payments. Still playing in the basement while I'm working on arrangements. They heard the kid in 50 countries, thank God that's amazing. But I'd rather think.
And we are back. Let's see how this goes. All right, guys, let's move into the career questions. First question is titled Leaving After 6 Months. I took on a new process engineering role back in May, 2 years experience before. In June, I was asked to cover as a production supervisor while they searched for a new hire. I was told it would only be an occasional thing as they had other engineers trained to supervise as well. However, within 4 weeks, I was the only engineer, quote, available to supervise. I have been working second shift since July. As a result, all of my engineering projects are on hold, but yet my boss still expects all of them to be completed, which means my bonus slash review is going to be horrendous next year. My social life is non existent due to all my hobby clubs meeting on weekdays and working until 11 p.m. on Fridays. I have to fight fires alone without knowing anything, and when I do reach out after hours and take their advice and it doesn't work, I get blamed for it. I did not sign up to be a second shift supervisor. I signed up for first shift engineering position. When I talked to my boss about this, he basically said, tough stuff. I have no financial obligations to stay other than maybe finding a job that pays similarly. Is it really that bad to leave so early with really very little to show from the job in terms of engineering project experience? It's not like I improved the plant at all since starting other than It's not like I improved the plant at all since starting, other than filling in and giving the other supervisors a break. If I'm just being a little wimp about this, then let me know that too. Maybe I was too coddled on my last job where any hours over 40 were comped with extra PTO. No, you got bait and switched. Plain and simple. So, no, they hired you on, and then they switched your job description. They probably had this role. They probably needed a second shift supervisor this whole time, and they told you it'd be something else. They started you briefly off on something else, and then moved you over where they actually wanted you and needed you, but the position they probably couldn't hire for it. And that's not what you signed up for. So if you want to leave, leave. So find another job and then leave. And then if it's 6 months, you can even leave it off your resume. It happened within this year. And if anybody asks you why you're currently leaving your role, you could just say that it wasn't a fit. The job description didn't match the work experience that you had. But no, yeah, I wouldn't say it's too short of a time at all. At all, you don't have a social life. You don't get to do any things you want to do. So no, leave, leave. But do it after you have another job lined up. There's no reason you should be in a situation where you're in a pickle, because this is not the. Let's be honest, this isn't the best job market. I'd say that it's okay. It's an okay job market, but jobs aren't just falling out of trees. So go ahead, start applying, start interviewing. The good news is you work second shift. So that means during the first shift, you're available for interviews, even though that's probably pretty exhausting. But you can definitely use some of that time during the day to schedule some interviews and, yeah, get another job lined up and then leave. And don't feel bad about it, because they don't care about you. All right. Next one. What do I do after following up with employers on LinkedIn? Post says, I talked to employers at my university's career fair and sent follow up thank yous to them. Good job. One responded, the other accepted my connection request. What do I do now? Do I just apply and hope they have a better chance of choosing me? Great question. Here's what you do. You not only apply and hope they have a better chance of choosing you, but apply for the jobs and then message them again saying, hey, thanks again. Just letting you know I applied for this job, and this job. And here's another copy of my resume. Would you mind? Do you happen to know the hiring manager for that position? Would you be able to forward my resume to them and let me know how it goes? So that might get you a little bit further in line. Maybe you get you a review that other people wouldn't get. Remember, they get a lot for these. They go to these career fairs, university career fairs. They see a lot of resumes, and you're trying to jump the line. So follow up with them, start a dialogue, and then get them putting your resume in front of the hiring manager or the recruiter's review first, and then if they can get you any feedback, that's also good for you as well. But yeah, just basically try to leverage that connection into you having a little bit better chance at getting the job. So that's what you do after following up with employers on LinkedIn. You keep the conversation going. All right. Next question. All right. Next question is titled, I went to my university's career fair and two recruiters from different companies told me they'd like me to follow up with them and resend them my resume. Is this significant at all? Similar question. I'm graduating with my aerospace engineering degree this fall. When I visited the booth, their responses were very similar, and they said my resume looked good and that they wanted me to send it to them personally in a follow up email. Good. This is the second time I've been to a career fair, but it's also the first time I've gotten this kind of response. For those of you who have experienced this before, what happened? They didn't mention anything about an interview, so I'm curious about what could happen now. So what they're trying to do is what I described in this previous response. They want to have your resume so that in addition to the job application that you put in, they want to be able to forward your resume directly to the hiring manager with a nice note about how they got to know you. So here's what you do. You follow up with them in an email, you send them a copy of your resume, and you thank them for their time and ask them to forward your resume off to the hiring manager and to let you know if they hear anything back. That's what you do. Because again, that helps you jump the line in the job application process. So that's what you do. You said, little update. Both companies got back to me and asked for the positions I applied for so they could send my resume directly to the hiring manager. I got rejected from all positions. Well, darn. Well, at least you got your response, right? At least you got to hear back sooner. That's different than and they got you the feedback, right? So they actually say, hey, you didn't get hired for these positions. Well, at least they got you the feedback quicker, because otherwise you might have applied online and then not heard back for months. All right. Well, we're looking like we're having a little bit of an emotional breakdown here on the podcast recording studio set. So I'm going to take a break and come back, and it might be a little while. All right. Bye.
We miscommunicating, I'm miscommunicating. I just made a pilot, then they threw me on the stations. Nah, I'm not complaining, nah, I'm not complaining. My thoughts get complicated, I cannot explain in layman's. Never losing focus because I ain't chasing payments. Still playing in the basement while I'm working on arrangements. They heard the kid in 50 countries, thank God that's amazing. But I'd rather thank Spotify, they put me on the station. Same shit, different day, I'm just trying to get paid. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'ma stay in the shade so they can't see my face. Yeah, yeah. Only blow if I know that I got the right strain. Yeah. When I blow, then I know that I did it my way. Yeah. Everybody asks me why I'm up so late, man. They think I'm insane, I just wanna create, man. No angel dust till the boy cremated. In heaven with Mr. Cobain, dated. But that's not for a long time. Cardi for the long nights, party for the hard times. On time at the wrong time. Why the fuck would I try to quantize my jawline? Speeding on the feeder cause I promised I'd be on time. And I said it last time, it's gotta be the last time. You can play this song if you ever got a bad vibe. Say I'm acting moody cause I've been stuck like Mad Eye. Miss the times when I had nap time and snack time. I style like Billy cause she say I'm a bad guy. She say waste my time just writing all these rap lines. Said she crossed the line and I promise that's the last time. Used to play Angry Birds, man, I was mad fly. Shit, different day, I'm just trying to get paid. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'ma stay in the shade so they can't see my face. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Only blow if I know that I got the right strain. Yeah. When I blow, then I know that I did it my way. Yeah.
Feeling gone, like switching stocks after sex though. Max got the tracks, lost his mind and his headphones. They just call me broke cause I still use the wire cards. She asked for my number, damn, I think they should retire me. Feeling gone, like switching stacks. Got the tracks, lost his tracks, lost his tracks, lost his. They just call me broke cause they just call me broke cause they should retire me. They should retire me.
We miscommunicating, I'm miscommunicating. I just made a pilot, then they threw me on the stations. Nah, I'm not complaining, nah, I'm not complaining. My thoughts get complicated, I cannot explain in layman's. Never losing focus because I ain't chasing payments. Still playing in the basement while I'm working on arrangements. They heard the kid in 50 countries, thank God that's amazing. But I'd rather thank Spotify, they put me on the station. Same shit, different day, I'm just trying to get paid. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'ma stay in the shade so they can't see my face. Yeah, yeah. Only blow if I know that I got the right strain. Yeah. When I blow, then I know that I did it my way. Yeah. Everybody asks me why I'm up so late, man. They think I'm insane, I just wanna create, man. No angel dust till the boy cremated. In heaven with Mr. Cobain, dated. But that's not for a long time. Cardi for the long nights, party for the hard times. On time at the wrong time. Why the fuck would I try to quantize my jawline? Speeding on the feeder cause I promised I'd be on time. And I said it last time, it's gotta be the last time. You can play this song if you ever got a bad vibe. Say I'm acting moody cause I've been stuck like Mad Eye. Miss the times when I had nap time and snack time. I style like Billy cause she say I'm a bad guy. She say waste my time just writing all these rap lines. Said she crossed the line and I promised that's the last time. Used to play Angry Birds, man, I was mad fly. Shit, different day, I'm just trying to get paid. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'ma stay in the shade so they can't see my face. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Only blow if I know that I got the right strain. Yeah. When I blow, then I know that I did it my way. Yeah.
Feeling gone, like switching stocks after sex though. Max got the tracks, lost his mind and his headphones. They just call me broke cause I still use the wire cards. She asked for my number, damn, I think they should retire me. Feeling gone, like switching stacks. Got the
We miscommunicating, I miscommunicating. I just made a pilot, then they threw me on the stations. Nah, I'm not complaining, nah, I'm not complaining. My thoughts get complicated, I cannot explain in layman's. Never losing focus because I ain't chasing payments. Still playing in the basement while I'm working on arrangements. They heard the kid in 50 countries, thank God that's amazing. But I'd rather thank Spotify, they put me on the station. Same shit, different day, I'm just trying to get paid. Yeah, I'ma stay in the shade so they can't see my face. Yeah, only blow if I know that I got the right strain. Yeah, when I blow then I know that I did it my way. Yeah. Everybody asks me why I'm up so late, man. They think I'm insane, I just wanna create, man. No angel dust till the boy cremated. In heaven with Mr. Cobain, see dated. But that's not for a long time. Cardi for the long nights, party for the hard times. On time at the wrong time. Why the fuck would I try to quantize my jawline? Speeding on the feeder, cause I promised I'd be on time. And I said it last time, it's gotta be the last time. You can play this song if you ever got a bad vibe. Say I'm acting moody cause I've been stuck like Mad Eye. Miss the times when I had nap time and snack time. I style like Billy cause she say I'm a bad guy. She say waste my time just writing all these rap lines. Said she crossed the line and I promise that's the last time. Used to play Angry Birds, man, I was mad fly. Shit, different day, I'm just trying to get paid. Yeah, I'ma stay in the shade so they can't see my face. Yeah, only blow if I know that I got the right strain. Yeah, when I blow then I know that I did it my way. Yeah.
Feeling gone, like searching for stocks after sex though. Max got the tracks, lost his mind and his headphones. They just caught me broke cause I still use the wire cards. She asked for my number, damn, I think they should retire me. Feeling gone, like searching for stacks, got the tracks, lost his tracks, they just caught me broke cause they just caught me broke cause they should retire me.
We miscommunicating, I miscommunicating. I just made a pilot, then they threw me on the stations. Nah, I'm not complaining, nah, I'm not complaining. My thoughts get complicated, I cannot explain in layman's. Never losing focus because I ain't chasing payments. Still playing in the basement while I'm working on arrangements. They heard the kid in 50 countries, thank God that's amazing. But I'd rather thank Spotify, they put me on the station. Same shit, different day, I'm just trying to get paid. Yeah, I'ma stay in the shade so they can't see my face. Yeah, only blow if I know that I got the right strain. Yeah, when I blow then I know that I did it my way. Yeah. Everybody asks me why I'm up so late, man. They think I'm insane, I just wanna create, man.
And we are back. And for those of you who may notice it, I have had an outfit change. I am now wearing Baby E. So that's kind of fun. We'll see how this goes. All right. Why not Company X? Question goes, I'm a senior in college going through the job application process and got asked a question I wasn't exactly sure how to respond to by a recruiter. After telling them about my intern experience, they asked why I wasn't returning to the same company. Thing is, I didn't receive a return offer. I think this is because I started later than all the other interns, so when the company was deciding who to extend offers to, I had only been around for a month and hadn't had the time to form strong relationships or progress my projects much. At the end of my term, my manager said he was happy with my performance, but they just didn't have any positions open. The company hasn't had any job postings since then, so I'm pretty confident I wasn't passed up on due to performance. Moving forward, when a recruiter or interviewer asks why I'm not returning to the same company, what should I tell them? Should I explain that timing might have played a factor, or should I just say that I'm exploring my options? I'd say that just tell the truth. Say, hey, they didn't have any openings available for me, and I noticed they haven't posted anything since then, and timing might have played a factor. So, yeah, I don't think it's anything to lean too hard on. I don't think it's anything to beat yourself up on, and I don't think that it reads negatively on you the fact that you did not get a return offer because you got good feedback. And what I'd also do is maybe reach out to that manager and say, hey, people are asking, this isn't going to happen. All right. Well, anyways, guys, I'll record the rest of the podcast later. I'll be back. All right. Bye.